What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another FPL video. My name is Mo, and today in this video I'll be going through some key questions going into game week 1, which, guys, is only 6 days away. And the biggest question is, do we need Mo Salah, and is he essential for us? So we'll go through my reasons of the pros and the cons of why we should or shouldn't have Salah in our draft, what we should be thinking about before game week 1, and how we should be lining up. Before we go through all that, guys, if you guys haven't liked the video, give us a like, and if you haven't hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button, please. So let's have a look at my current draft. So at the moment I am going for like the 4-5-1 approach in terms of formation. Previously, when I have had Salah in my team, I have had the same formation because I've had 2 premiums, and then I've had kind of like a balanced squad around it. Now with the squad I have at the moment, I've been able to equally spread my funds across the team. So as you can see, going into game week 1, I've got De Bruyne, Eze, Saka, Bruno Fernandes and Rashford in my team. So is Salah essential, which is the first question for me. If we look at it from a captaincy perspective, barring game week, let's have a look, 2, so Burnley, Man City, I think in that situation we're definitely going to be captaining Erling Haaland in game week 1. Maybe game week 2, the Bournemouth fixture is where we're most likely within, I'd say, the first 8 game weeks to likely captain Salah, the likelihood, because Man City have Newcastle at home. Despite that, on some kind of like platforms, or if you look at point predictors on FPL statistics, despite having Bournemouth at home, Salah is still predicted to kind of like achieve less points, I'd say, or Erling Haaland's kind of predicted to get more points than Salah even in that fixture, but I think this is the most likelihood fixture week that we'd have him in our squad. And then even in game week 3, Man City are away to Sheffield United, a promoted squad, and Liverpool, they are away to Newcastle. So again, it's probably going to be Erling Haaland that we'll look to captain. And in game week 4, Man City have Fulham at home and Liverpool have Aston Villa at home. Again, it's more likely going to be Haaland. And even in game week 5, West Ham away, and then Liverpool have Wolves away. So again, more likely you would likely to think you'd captain Haaland in that fixture as well. Forest next week for Man City, and then Liverpool have West Ham at home. So for me, even in the first 7 game weeks, I can see here Wolves away and Spurs away. In the first 7 game weeks, what I can see is probably going to be Erling Haaland, your captain. So is there going to be much to miss out on? Potentially not. How can we schedule this, or how can we structure this so we can get Salah in the team? So for me, what I potentially would have done is taken De Bruyne out, put Salah in, and then the other kind of like player that I could take out from here is Rashford, and I could bring in, let's go for, we have Phil Foden at 7.5 mil. That leaves me with half a mil less. So then I could take out John Stones and then bring in Nathan Ake. So that could be kind of like the structure in which I could play a 4-5-1 with Onana, Gabriel, Saliba, Chilwell, Ake, and then Saka, Eze, Salah, Fernandes, Foden with Haaland up front. Now that's not a bad squad, to be brutally honest. But from my perspective, in terms of Salah, he's been obviously Mr. FPL GOAT for a reason for the last 6 to 7 seasons, and his output's amazing. But looking at, previous seasons, yes, he's been great. Will his goals be affected this time? Will it be more assists because they've got more firepower? So, for example, Darwin Núñez, they've got Diego Jota, Sabitzer, I think that's how you pronounce his name, McAllister. So will there be a bit more of a spread of goals? It's yet to be seen. With Trent being an inverted midfielder, will he still have the same output? I know in the last 8 game weeks of the year he did really well, but it's phenomenal numbers, to be fair. But the question then that arises for me is it worth me spreading those funds over like Mo Salah and Foden? Will they get me more points, or over a season, for example, or even like the first 10 game weeks? Or will Kevin De Bruyne and Rashford get me more points? So even with Manchester United's fixtures, I do want to have the attacking potential of Marcus Rashford, even with the new striker Højlund arriving. But Mo Salah is just so reliable. He's missed a few penalties. Is he even going to be on penalties? We don't know. Will McAllister get them? I think Sebastian's got a really good record, 100% on penalties as well. So again, that's another thing to consider. but I don't think he'll be taken off penalties by Klopp anytime soon. But Salah's always Mr. Reliable, and the thing is, the fixtures for Liverpool aren't that great, but we know he's fixture proof, and he can score big in these kind of games. Chelsea, he's done well previously in seasons. Bournemouth at home is the big one, but they won 9-0 last year, guys, at Anfield, and he didn't have any returns. I assure you, if they get even 4 goals this season, he'll have some returns in that game. So that's the only game where I can feel it. His ownership's around 23.7%. It has come down over the last couple of days as more managers are joining, but I do believe there's going to be a little shift in bringing him in. Maybe closer to their deadline, because people are still trying to figure out the formations. Do they want to play 2 strikers? Are they happy with, let's say Visser up front, Watkins, even Issa, or let's say Wilson from Newcastle? So there's a lot of options to consider, but Mo Salah is the biggest question for me at the moment in the community. Will he play? Will he not play? I had him for a while in my team, and I just felt it was good to have him, but I do have to make so many sacrifices, as you can see. Ake, he isn't as nailed as Stones. Foden, we don't know if he's going to start on. I want to have Foden, but when I think about it, De Bruyne's, he's an amazing player for a reason. But if we look at my draft, let's say De Bruyne doesn't start game week 1, I could pretty much, barring Salah, get any other midfielder I want. For example, I could bring in Son. He's owned by, I think, let's have a look. It was less than 5% when I checked earlier. So let's have a look at Spurs. So you could bring in even Son for myself. 4.9% ownership. He's got Brentford away. I know it doesn't look like a great fixture, but even if I have to play him for just 1 game week, with the Kane situation, Richarlison, and with him being the main talisman along with Richarlison, he's going to be a great option for Spurs for me generally. So this is someone that I am looking at. So I could literally easily bring in, let's say if we go reset for my squad, I could so easily just go Son for the first game week, and then I can make that transfer to De Bruyne back for game week 2 if I want to. That's an option I could look into. Or if I feel that there could be another player from Liverpool, for example, that I want to take advantage of, I could. But Liverpool-Chelsea game doesn't really fill me with much confidence, barring Salah, to play big. But we've got plenty of options to look at in terms of players to bring in and out of your squad. Even I could look at maybe in game week 2 a Chelsea midfielder. It could be Murdoch for 6.5, or even Sterling for 7 mil. But at the moment, this is what my squad looks like. So for me, if you were to ask me, is Salah essential? I don't think he's essential, and you have to have him, but I do believe his ownership will go up. So let's say in the first game week, Salah scores 2 goals versus Chelsea. I'm telling you, there's going to be a knee-jerk, guys. A lot of people are going to rip their squads up, play wild cards, take hits to get him in. It's not as easy to get him in. As you can see, I had to make 3 changes, and that's 3 moves. So let's say I did that in game week 1. That's a -8 for me immediately, unless I play my wild card. Do I really want to move my team that much? Potentially not. But for me, I don't think Salah, potentially for myself, I might have to come back and buy my words. I don't think he's essential. If he starts well, we know what was coming. And let's say he doesn't start too well, then at least we'll know he will come good at some point. But for me, looking at my squad and looking at your squads, I think you're probably going to have a double up of Arsenal midfielders, so Martinelli, Odegaard, Saka. In there, there's going to be Bruno Fernandes, Rashford, for example. You could have Phil Foden in there, Bernardo Silva. There's a lot of options that you guys, even Grealish, from Man City, there's an option as well. And people are going for Mbumbo, Mitoma, for example, for the 6.5s, Diaby from Aston Villa, not West Ham. So there are a lot of options that we can look at to boost our midfield, and Salah could look into that as well. It's a lot of investment, guys. I haven't seen much noise around him in terms of like the Twitter real kind of like game players in terms of Salah being essential. But for me personally, I don't think there's much to lose if you don't go without him. I don't think he's essential because the value of other midfielders this year are just far superior. I just think Rashford, with the 2 home games to begin with, where he's got Wolves at home, and then I think it is Nottingham Forest in game week 3 at home. I think there's some really good fixtures for him to take advantage of. And if you look at that cross-reference to Salah's fixtures, I don't believe they're any better. I think Rashford has more favourable fixtures during those game weeks. And I think that's going to be something that I want to weigh out. So I'd rather have someone like a Rashford over Foden because of more kind of nailed minutes and good fixtures as well. Not to say Foden has worse fixtures, but then I get De Bruyne, who gives me that kind of luxury to have a Rashford in as well, and have Man City cover. Because at the end of the day, we know Haaland's going to go big, and we want to have some kind of source from there. And I think pretty much, unless he's injured, De Bruyne should be nailed. That's why I want to, go a bit differential there. And at the moment, in time of recording, he's only owned by 12.6% of managers. And if he does start the Community Shield and he does play the first game, good choice in my opinion. He will come good. So overall for me, guys, I don't think Salah is essential. And if you do have him in your draft, first game week, I think it's a good choice. If you don't, I don't think it's the end of the world. I do believe there's other options available, and if you're playing 5 midfielders, it gives you a bit more funds to spread it across. The extra 3.5-4 mil for Salah from Saka, for example, 8.5 to 12.5, you can get Bruno Fernandes in as well. So I don't think there's much in terms of disparity, in terms of that much output. Yes, he'll score 50 points more, but if I can make up those points with other players, potentially increase my ceiling, that might be a better choice overall in the long run. So that's it from me, folks. In terms of do I think he's essential? No. Will he be in my draft at the moment? I doubt it, but he can be. But let's see what you guys are thinking. Let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Will you be having Salah in your draft or not? Let me know. Hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know what your thoughts are. And we're almost there to game week 1. I'll be back with some more content, some live Q&As, and we'll be getting ready for game week 1. Till then, take care, and I'll see you guys soon.